Yes, my straight dog family. I don't know if I've ever told you because I don't normally like to talk about myself, but that theme song is the backing tracks from a song I wrote some years ago, and I titled it "Keep Moving On." So whenever you hear that theme song, you know it's time to move on to Straight Talk, and time for me to say greetings to the world, because we are on Straight Talk, and we communicate with you, the people, wherever you are on this globe. And for sure, we communicate with you from the beautiful federation of two islands and one lovely paradise called St. Kitts and Nevis. So it's time for me to say good night to St. Kitts, and time for me to say good night to Nevis, and to say good night to the entire Caribbean region. And a matter of fact, like I said, I can say greetings to the world, because you are in the Kittitian and Nevision and Caribbean diaspora all across the globe. So I can say good morning, I can say good afternoon, and certainly I can say good night. Because some of you are in Asia, some of you are in Africa, there are some of you in Europe, and there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty, as I said, to say good night, good afternoon, or good morning. But I want to welcome you to another edition of Straight Talk. And for those of you who may have joined me for the first time, I say welcome, and trust and hope it would not be your last time. And I want to thank those who share the link, because whenever you share that link, we get first timers, and my Straight Dog family, we trust and hope it won't be your last time. But for the first timers, just to let you know that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free, underline free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. We try as well to raise the level of discourse. We try to raise the level of participation. We try to raise the level of conversation, I must say. And in the process, we try to keep it clean. We raise the level of consciousness of discourse, like I said, and we'll try to alert our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and to their obligations, right here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and a matter of fact, wherever you are in the world today. And my name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And I'll hasten to pleasure as always, as your host, to remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness. And my Straight Dog family, let's try to seek the courage needed for our high calling to fulfill, that we all may know the blessing of the doing of God's will. That's an excerpt from a favorite hymn of mine. It talks about speaking for the truth and the right, and standing firm for godly justice, and bringing evil things to light. So absolutely nothing is watered down on this program. We never try to make it more interesting, neither by omission nor exaggeration. We are not about sensationalism or creating excitement, especially at the expense of accuracy, because we lean on the facts. And my Straight Dog family, it is my duty to present always, I call it the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to governance, transparency, integrity, wherever you are in the world and here, in particular in St. Kitts and Nevis. Because we are joined together with people across our federation. We are joined with people in the diaspora all around the world. And my Straight Talk family, there are times when we will have our variances, I may call it, because we are different people, and we promote the diversity of views, I call it. Some will not agree with the positions of truth advanced on Straight Talk, and that's fine. But please, let's not get or become disagreeable. Let's thank Almighty God nonetheless for helping us to understand, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. And let's therefore hope and pray, my Straight Talk family, let's therefore hope and pray for the day, and we will all sing our praise or his praise together. So welcome again, and thanks for those, as I said, who continue to share the link. When you do so, we get first timers and we welcome them all welcome, and trust and hope it won't be your last time, my Straight Talk family. I always like to remind you as well that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls and your emails. And if you're so minded to call, the numbers are on your screens. And for those of you who like the cloak of anonymity, we give you an email email address, which is also on your screen. That's one word, straighttalkpatches@gmail.com. And I want to hail those who are also on Alexa, who have the Alexa app. Don't forget that all you have to do is say, Alexa, play Massive Vibes Radio, and you are with Straight Talk Live. And some of you have made donations. Some continue to make donations, and we welcome them. We thank you as always. And no matter what's the size of your donation, we welcome them, because it helps us to continue this important public service, I call it. It is, in fact, a public service. Those who want to donate, the code is on your screen to access the payment form. Very simple process, and you right on to make your donations to support the program. We thank you again for your support and for helping us to keep the dialogue alive. And I will always hail my junior brigade, the young Shama, Dwayne, Tristan, Kevin, Rue, Jamal, Travis, Travon, Neymar, and Soraya. Special youths, my grandson and his good friend, Soraya. And the special lady in St. Louis. We always move to our observations as well. I have quite a lot of observations, so I will move right to my observations. And after our observations and review, we will begin our thesis for tonight, which I've labeled one third on Nevis equals to half on St. Kitts. It's going to be very interesting. So don't change your platform, your link. Just spread the word that Straight Talk is live on social media, YouTube, Facebook, and Alexa. And our first observation, my Straight Talk family, on a sad note, very sad note, St. Kitts Nevis recorded its first gun-related murder in my neck of the woods at Ponds Pasture there in East Bastia. It's the first gun-related murder for 2025. And this is according to ZIZ's Jazzy D, who reported this today, my Straight Talk family.
The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is investigating a fatal shooting incident that occurred on the evening of the 21st of May at Tuckett Street, Ponds Pasture. The incident was reported to the police at approximately 9:16 in the evening. Officers responded to the scene as well as to the Joseph and France General Hospital, where two male victims had been transported via private vehicle. The victims have been identified as 41-year-old Terence Richin of Tuckett Street Ponds Pasture and 38-year-old Ricardo Masham of Godwin Gut. Mr. Masham succumbed to his injuries shortly after arrival at the hospital, where Mr. Richin received multiple gunshot wounds and after undergoing x-rays and medical intervention was admitted to the surgical ward in stable condition. Preliminary investigations indicate that the victims were at a business establishment operated by Mr. Richin, where they were socializing when a lone gunman approached and opened fire. Striking both men, the assailant fled the scene shortly thereafter, and officers from the crime scene unit processed the scene and collected items of evidential value. The body was secured pending a scheduled autopsy.
And that's the kind of news we have grown accustomed not to hear in recent time, and we grant kudos to the law enforcement, the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force, Commissioner Sutton and his team, also Acting Commander Coyote and his team at the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force. The kind of news, like I said, we have grown not accustomed hearing in recent times, and we give kudos to all who have made that possible. Street Talk is also following what appears to be a vehicular homicide. We've been hearing so much of such. And it's sad because it's a homicide, it seems, of well-known Ike Truss, my good friend. I remember he told me each time we meet, we said, look for the other three. You remember I won by 4 votes, and as him approached him, he told me, and was very upset that Ike voted for me. But I knew Ike. We went back a long, long way. I actually got him to his position there as Casper, and first before that, got him on the Stereo Waterfront scheme. And we always laughed, and we laugh no more, because every time we meet him, he said, boy, go look for the other 3. That's what he told us. You know, very interesting. But Ike, my Street Talk family, apparently met his untimely death last night. And I must warn you that the content of this video is graphic, but this was circulated, my Street Talk family.
I just find Ike wait till he said somebody knock him down. You hear him pay on Ike, wham to you?
Yeah.
Somebody said somebody knock you down from between you?
Yeah.
What to do poor Ike? Where area this here be? Where area this here be? This a Ike, where am to you? Somebody knock you down, Lord. I call ambulance. Lord, poor Ike. Lord, person knock you down, bad boy. I see you and then stop.
No, the one back over.
Where area this here be? The one back over you?
Yeah.
That mean you do something then, Ike. Lord.
Sad news, my Street Dog family. Ike Truss died, eventually also succumbed to his injuries. And Ike lived a life to the fullest. And those in the Port community in particular, I'm sure, will miss him. We await nonetheless a full report from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. But in the interim, in the meantime, we extend condolences to those 2 departed brothers. Sad note to start on tonight. In my second observation tonight, I must refer to what I call transparency or treason. And this is in relation to the truth about the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw International Airport. And I speak not just as a concerned citizen, but as a voice for every Kittitian and Nevisian who believes in transparency, fairness, and above all, national dignity. I told you before that there is a reliable and troubling report circulating all around the land and further afield that our nation's gateway to the world, the Robert Llewellyn International Airport, has been quietly privatized. Not through open parliamentary debate or public consultation, but through backdoor arrangements shrouded in silence and secrecy. And one online journal challenged that position about privatization, and a friend of mine called me just yesterday as well. And let me make the point that there are several methods of privatization. And one method we are hearing about is the privatization of the operations at the airport through a design, build, and operating arrangement. At the heart of this issue is the appointment of this of CIDC, the Caribbean Infrastructure Development Corporation, a company with no track record in infrastructure development, no public vetting as there was no procurement. And I believe the CBI is being abused and misused and to get around the procurement legislation we have here. But this CIDC has no demonstrated capacity to lead such a critical national project. Yet somehow, this company has been handed control of our airport, or the airport expansion initiative, that has not even been designed according to the Minister, Marsha Henderson, who said this some weeks ago.
But we are working on improving our airport facilities. The Airport Expansion Committee is at work. We are on our way in terms of design and concept as well. And once that is finalized, you would hear more about construction. But we are in, and of course, design and all those things take some time.
Nonsense. She's lying. Just like July. Because how then, we must ask, can shares, 3,000 of them, at a minimum price of US $250,000 each, how can they be legally marketed and currently being sold in Hong Kong, in Nigeria and China, amongst other places, when there is no finalized design according to Lion Marshall? And I say so respectfully. No publicly disclosed agreement and no accountability, my Stray Dog family. And when you look at the comparative analysis we did, and I'll expose it one more time, we spoke a lot about the prison project. It was a song and dance in opposition, and a different story when they came to the government, or in government. But my Stray Dog family, 5,000 shares was the prison project, and we cried foul. Look at the airport, 3,000 shares for this project, my Stray Dog family. And you see, at 3,000 shares, look at the right-hand corner, that would derive some $825 million. We understand that the cost of the project is some $100 million, my Stray Dog family. And you see the comparison there with the prison project, 5,000 shares, 5,500 shares, right in the center there, that red, and 3,000 shares. And we haven't expanded on this because time does not permit really. But Port Zante, which was a public-private partnership between the Matalan brothers, and I think that was 16 million, I believe it was actually $16.5 million, and that money was money from St. Kitts and the Caribbean. Matter of fact, there was a Scotiabank loan in relation to that project. But my Stray Dog family, how can a project that hasn't even reached the design stage be funding its operations by selling shares abroad under the citizenship by investment program. So Marsha Henderson has to be lying. Bold-faced lies. She comes to the country and said about it's under design and concept stage. And my Straight Talk family, let it be very clear. If CIDC, my Straight Talk family, is soliciting international investments without an official agreement, then they may be committing unauthorized financial solicitation, which is a criminal offense in St. Kitts and any other country. And if there is a signed agreement and the government has kept it hidden from the public, then we are facing an equally serious breach, one of public trust and constitutional duty. This is not governance. This is not leadership. This is betrayal. And that comes from the top. The Prime Minister Terence Michael Drew, aided and abetted by the Attorney General Garth Lucifer Wilkin. Imagine, Minister Marsha Henderson at her April press conference spoke vaguely of concept and design being underway. But the actions of the CIDC contradict her words, my Straight Talk family, because CIDC has this advertisement video circulating all around the world.
For generations, St. Kitts and Nevis has set the gold standard in global citizenship. Today, through Caribbean Infrastructure Development Corporation, your path to citizenship aligns with an unprecedented opportunity. As the government's approved public benefactor for the airport expansion project, we're transforming the gateway to the Caribbean. This visionary development offers select investors a direct path to St. Kitts citizenship. Join an exclusive group of global citizens. Secure visa-free travel to most countries, tax advantages, and a lasting legacy for generations. CIDC, elevating global citizens, transforming St. Kitts and Nevis. Book your private consultation today.
That's coming from CIDC, my Straight Talk family. What we have is not a bunch of experts in the cabinet. We have a bunch of criminals. Because while the minister speaks hypothetically, shares are being sold in reality. While citizens are kept in the dark, our country is being marketed abroad as a private commodity. To the Prime Minister and the Attorney General, their silence is not neutral. It is an endorsement of secrecy. And when public assets are being handed over under secret terms behind closed doors to unqualified entities without public knowledge or consent, you cease to be public servants and begin to resemble something far worse. Let me be clear. This is not about politics. This is about patriotism. We, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, must not stand by and watch our airport become a playground for private interests, while citizens are treated like strangers in their own land. We must not allow foreign investors to be given answers that our own parliament refused to provide. So on behalf of the people tonight, I am calling for the immediate release of all documents related to the expansion of our airport, including the terms of engagement with CIDC, any memorandum of understanding or financial agreement signed, a full list of who is marketing these shares and under what authority, and what or how many shares have been approved. We demand a full investigation into whether financial laws have been broken, and we call on the Financial Services Regulatory Commission to act. We also call on the Director of Audit. You have authority to go into the CIU censorship by investment unit. Never mind, it's being corporatized. Our country is not for sale. And if the government is marketing it like a cheap product overseas, then it is time for the people to rise up and reclaim what is rightfully theirs. Let this be a turning point, my people. Let truth replace secrecy. Let justice replace opportunism. Let the will of the people prevail. And that's as much as I say on the airport for tonight, but that will never go off the burner, Terence Jew, until you come clean with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Too much underhand, hanky-panky things are going on under your government. As a federation, my Straight Dog family, our thought of vision, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment, my Straight Dog family. And just to let you know as well that this company has some St. Vincentian roots, as I said, from the opposition there in St. Vincent. Some Benjamin Exeter has nothing to do or did nothing in terms of what he's advertising there, my Straight Dog family. But I was about to say that as a federation, we find ourselves in a pivotal or at a pivotal moment in our journey, a moment that calls for clarity, my Straight Dog family, consistency, and courage. Prime Minister Drew boldly declared the intention or his intention to lead our federation toward full Republican status. To many, Drew had rightfully expressed that our nation, now 4 decades removed from colonial rule, must finally stand independent, not only in law, but in symbolism and spirit. In doing so, the Prime Minister called for an apology from His Majesty King Charles III, acknowledging the historical injustices of slavery and colonial exploitation. Remember this, my Straight Dog family.
The shifting tides of constitutional change. This tiny island is reconsidering its relationship with the Crown. The Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis says he wants to give people a say on who their head of state should be.
The head of state still reside in the monarchy of England. And so that aspect of it is telling us that we are not totally free yet. That consultation or discussion will start sometime during my leadership.
The Prime Minister is also calling for an apology for the monarchy's historic role in the slave trade.
I think that acknowledging that something would have gone wrong, something wrong was done, that acknowledging it and apologizing for it is a step in the right direction.
To seek reparative justice and full sovereignty is not to erase history, but to define our future. However, in recent days, troubling contradictions have emerged. Prime Minister Drew, while calling for an end to monarchical ties, traveled to meet with King Charles III, but not as one might expect to advance his Republican agenda, not to confront the legacy of an empire. Rather, he went to beg the king for a knighthood for one of his colleagues. Believe it or not, my Straight Dog family.
The other day, where did I go? I went to London. You remember that? You all saw the picture? You sure? Who did I visit in England? You all remember who I visited? I went to visit the king. Go back and you recognize that I went to have a one-on-one conversation with the king of England. And he and I sat in his front room. And we had an excellent conversation. We spoke about Caribbean affairs, specifically St. Kitts and Nevis. And in our conversation, he told me he remembered Robert Bratcher, Comrade Robert Bratcher. But I also had a further conversation with him. I said, Your Majesty, when is it? It will be St. Kitts and Nevis's turn again to be able to bestow on one of our citizens a knighthood so that he or she or they can be called sir. And he said to me, he thought it was going to be next year.
And my Straight Talk family, let's take a moment just to reflect on the symbolism here and the confused state of the mind of Terence Michael Drew. How can we, or how can he, I should say, because we're not part of this, how can Drew on one hand demand that the monarchy apologize for the very systems of inequality it upheld, and on the other hand, Drew seeks its endorsement through titles rooted in colonial tradition? How can we call for a break from the crown while actively courting its favor? And this is not merely a political misstep. It is a contradiction that refuses our people and weakens our position on the world stage. The people of St. Kitts and Nevis deserve a clear and principled path forward. If we are to become a republic, let us act like one. Let us speak with one voice, walk with one purpose, and reject the outdated honors of a system we are striving to leave behind. Our nation is ready for a matured leader and independent future. But we cannot get there with one foot in Buckingham Palace and the other on the steps of our parliament. Terence Michael Drew, leadership means making hard choices and standing firm in the face of tradition, even when it is uncomfortable. Let us therefore rise, not with divided intent, but with united resolve. Let us build a republic that honors our ancestors, empowers our people, and speaks not with borrowed titles, but with the dignity of true sovereignty. And my Straight Talk family, in my next observation, I will as well shed further light on the contradictions we must confront as a people. The contradictions with this poor, daft leader, our Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Drew. He just returned to the very place where he studied medicine. My Straight Talk family, we've learned that he returned.
Prime Minister of St. Christopher and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, arrived in Cuba last evening, 21st May, to commence a two-day official state visit aimed at strengthening bilateral relations between the two Caribbean nations. The Prime Minister and his delegation were accorded full military honors upon arrival and were officially welcomed by Vice Minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Cuba, Josefina Vidal Ferrero, Ambassador of Cuba to St. Kitts and Nevis, David Rivera Perez, and other senior Cuban officials. During initial discussions, Prime Minister Drew engaged in substantive dialogue on pressing regional matters affecting both nations.
Welcome by a little boy, the Cuban scheme of things. But Cuba is a nation known not just for its health care, but for its enduring socialist ideology. So many now question whether Drew's political compass was set there, as his rhetoric echoes noble ideals like transparency, good governance, accountability. Yet in practice, these ideals seem to be absent. They are absent, my Straight Talk family.
We must move forward as a nation by eliminating corruption and its impact on our societal development and our treasury. And as promised, a new day and a better way will be delivered. We are committed to remaining transparent and accessible. And
is that what he's saying? We were promised a new direction. We were told that the country would boldly explore becoming a republic, free from colonial trappings, charting our own path. But in a baffling contradiction, the same leader who spoke of republicanism flew to London not to assert our sovereignty, but to kneel before a monarch and seek a knighthood. What vision is this? A vision that preaches independence but practices subservience. At a time, my Straight Talk family, when the world is shifting, when small nations must act boldly and clearly, we are left wondering whether our Prime Minister sees the road ahead or is simply reacting step by uncertain step. This trip to Cuba. The people of St. Kitts and Nevis deserve leadership rooted in integrity, consistency, and courage. If we are to move forward, we must demand more than words. We must demand actions that match. My Straight Talk family. And our final observation, I must raise it, relates to the Premier of Nevis, who we observe that the leader of opposition, he is as well, is traveling frequently with the government's entourage. Recall, he went with Terence Drew and Mrs. Drew, along with Samuel Duggins and others, to Nigeria just a week or two ago, my Straight Talk family. Here's when he landed in Nigeria. Mark Brantley is now in Miami, attending a summit with Calvin St. Dross, the chairman of the Board of Governors of the Citizenship by Investment Unit. So it's fair to ask, I'm sure you'll agree, is the Premier Mark Brantley promoting his own business? And as a Premier of Nevis, he must know he cannot promote the CBI. Or has the Premier Mark Brantley been appointed as a special envoy to the CBI? That's a reasonable question. And the people of Nevis in particular ought to know and ought to find out. And those are my observations in review for tonight, my Straight Talk family. And I move right into my thesis, which I said earlier I have titled 1/3 on Nevis equals half in St. Kitts. And I decided to broach this matter tonight with your indulgence, my Straight Talk family. Because while we're being occupied with the issues of CBI, the electoral shenanigans are happening. Yes, for several months, this federation has been fixated on the CBI program, and rightly so. Because in no other country in the world, passports are sold for a pittance. There is a hypocrisy due to the deafening silence on this Terence Michael July Labour administration. Even more troubling is his blatant disregard for transparency and accountability, which speaks volumes about the integrity of the Citizenship by Investment program. But even more corrupt and overlooked at this time is our electoral system. And every time I think about our corrupt electoral system, I reflect on the comments of my departed friend of blessed memory, Malcolm Gishard, who spoke about the corruption within the electoral system. I hear you say that elections are 2 years away. But believe me, the gerrymandering is very much alive. And my Straight Talk family, the Constitution speaks to a boundaries commission. Let's get that clear from the onset. The Constitution, I said, speaks to a boundaries commission. And Section 49 of our Constitution addresses the said commission. And it is clear there and on your screens. And it reads, and I quote, "There shall be for St. Christopher and Nevis a constituency boundaries commission, hereinafter called, herein in this section referred to, beg your pardon, as the commission, which shall consist of a chairperson appointed by the Governor General, acting in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister, given after the Governor General has consulted the Leader of the Opposition and such other persons as the Governor General, acting in his or her own deliberate judgment, has seen fit." And it lists the members: 2 from the National Assembly, appointed by the Governor General acting upon the advice of the Prime Minister, and 2 acting upon the advice of the Leader of the Opposition. And my Straight Talk family, there's a chairman. Straight Talk has been informed. Wycliffe Morton, appointed by the Governor General in keeping with the legislation. But Wycliffe Morton, we are told, has not held meetings, as he been having quite a lot of difficulties in getting a quorum. It's a quorum of 3. A chairman and 2 members make a quorum. But we understand he cannot even get a quorum. Is it a deliberate ploy by Terence Michael Drew and Labour? And remember, one of the ministers on the opposition is from Nevis, appointed by the Leader of the Opposition. One is from St. Kitts. You understand that Labour wants to put Tabernacle with Saddlers in number 6 and Newton Ground with Sandy Point in number 5. You understand as well that Drew also wants to gerrymander number 8, as he's mortally afraid of Keon. The Labour Party's plan is all about the manipulation of electoral constituency, beg your pardon, boundaries, so as to favor their party. There is also a plan to increase the number of constituencies in St. Kitts from 8 to 10 and from 3 to 5 in Nevis, equaling 15 constituencies, my Straight Dog family. And that's permitted by the rules of delimitation, as can be found at Schedule 2 of our Constitution. And the rules of delimitation of constituencies are pellucid. They are clear, my Straight Dog family, absolutely clear, may we add. The rules for the limitation of constituencies, as you can glean from your monitors, your screens, it says, there shall be not less than 8 constituencies in the island of St. Christopher, and not less than 3 constituencies in the island of Nevis. And if the number of constituencies is increased beyond 11, not less than 1/3 of their number shall be in Nevis. You got that, my straight talk family? That's clear. That's very simple. So much so, my straight talk family, that when the next elections come around, 1/3 of seats allocated to Nevis once they increase the number of constituencies will equal to half the number of seats allocated to St. Kitts. Of course, 5 is 50% or half of 10, but it is 1/3 of 15. And that is the kind of stupid constitution the framers gave to us, all because of political expediency. And I've said that many times before. I have always confessed that mathematics is my strongest weak point. So I am even cautious, I'm wary with my own calculation that 1/3 of the seats, if allocated to Nevis, with 26% of the overall population of St. Kitts and Nevis combined, will equate to 50% of the number of seats on St. Kitts, with 74% of the population, according to the Cabinet Secretary who said this some time ago.
The estimated population of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis for 2022 is 51,320 persons, marking an 8.7% increase over the 2011 census count of 47,195 persons. This reflects an increase of 4,125 persons over the 11-year period, averaging an annual increase of 0.76% during the intercensal period. The island of St. Kitts is home to 38,138 persons, accounting for 74% of the federal population, while Nevis, with 13,182 persons, comprises the remaining 26%.
Hear that, my straight talk family? On St. Kitts, there are 38,138 persons, and on Nevis, 13,182. I have always told you that our flawed constitution was based on political expediency. And until we find a new breed of politicians with the dignity and courage to reform this terrible document, then the scorecard will never be balanced. The Labour Party has been trying to change the boundaries, but have failed. 4 reports have been struck down. Remember 2015, when the Privy Council saved the day and the country. Before the 2022 elections, then Supervisor of Elections reported as follows, my straight talk family.
The voters list, therefore, as currently configured, contains 38,015 voters in St. Kitts. That's 38015 voters in St. Kitts, and 12,918 voters in Nevis. That's 12918, for a total of 50,933 voters. That's 50933.
50,933 voters in a population, my straight talk family, as declared by the Cabinet Secretary, of 51,320. But that was 2022 when Elvin Bailey gave that report. But Straight Talk was advised that the register of voters now stands at 52,000 voters. Our population is 51,000, as I intimated, 320. You understand that 14,000 of these voters are purportedly overseas or not ordinarily resident in St. Kitts and Nevis. We also understand there is an electoral office which should be managed on a full-time basis by an assistant registration officer. But since that officer, Miss Warner, retired, she has not been replaced for almost 2 years now. And we are reliably informed that the office is currently managed by the supervisor of elections himself, Oakland Peets. Remember, my Straight Dog family, that Peets was appointed by his fellow constituent Terence Drew, Prime Minister, right after he assumed office, my Straight Dog family.
We remain committed to ensuring a free and fair electoral process, and as part of this commitment, we have appointed Mr. Oakland Peets as the new supervisor of elections.
Yes, he's made an appointment just a few weeks after assuming office. Recall Douglas was desperate in January 2015 when he called that emergency meeting of Parliament. But nobody wants to sanitize the list. Why? Labour is trying to get an unfair advantage. But boundary changes must consider equal numbers or an equal number of inhabitants based on census reports. But what the Cabinet Secretary Natter announced were global figures with no details. The census report has never been published, my Straight Dog family. It is a secret. Everything is a secret for this Drew administration. We need to determine, one, should we have the same number of constituencies, same number of seats? Two, should we increase the number of constituencies? And if it is done, this will give Nevis better representation than St. Kitts. We need to see the census data. Let's look at a realistic scenario, my Straight Dog family. Suppose the number of seats in St. Kitts is increased from 8 to 10. Let's go with this slowly. Suppose the number of seats in St. Kitts is increased from 8 to 10. The number of constituencies then, to be accurate, to be correct. A reasonable change, perhaps, in response to population growth or to improve constituency service. Under the constitutional requirement, Nevis must then have 5 seats to maintain the 1/3 ratio. That brings the total number of seats or constituencies or seats to be elected to 15. But now herein lies the anomaly. Nevis, with just 26% of the Federation's population, would hold 33% of the parliamentary seats. Even more striking, Nevis would have half as many seats as St. Kitts, despite having only a quarter of the population. This is not a minor imbalance. It's a disproportion that raises fundamental questions about democratic fairness. To the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, let me hasten to add, this is not a question of Nevis versus St. Kitts. This is about fairness for all, ensuring that every vote counts equally, that every citizen's voice carries the same weight, and that our government reflects the will of the people as a whole. Let us be clear. The right of Nevis to meaningful representation is not in dispute. But that right must coexist with the foundational democratic principle of one person, one vote. Representation should reflect population realities, not constitutional rigidity. Tonight, my Straight Talk family, I appear before you not as a politician, but as a concerned Kittitian Nevision, a Nevision born in St. Kitts. One who believes that the cornerstone of any democracy is the trust its people place in the electoral process. But that trust, our collective faith in fair and free elections, is under threat. For far too long, elections in our beloved federation have been mired in controversy. Every election cycle brings with it accusations of gerrymandering, corruption, and voter fraud. And these are not just whispers in the dark. These are loud, persistent cries from citizens, observers, and even our very own leaders. We have seen constituency boundaries redrawn before. St. Paul's and Sandy Point, for example. And not to serve the will of the people, but to manipulate electoral outcomes. We have witnessed government resources deployed for political gain, blurring the lines between public service and party machinery. And most alarmingly, we have normalized a practice where plain loads of overseas votes are flown in at no cost to them to sway the destiny of our nation. These are individuals who may not have lived here for decades, may not feel the day-to-day pulse of our streets, but still hold the power to determine who governs our land. And let me be clear, the issue is not with our overseas brothers and sisters, not with you in the diaspora, please. The issue is with the system that enables electoral manipulation in your name. When the vote of a Kittitian or a Vision who struggles daily to make ends meet here in St. Kitts is drowned out by orchestrated efforts from abroad, we are no longer practicing democracy. We are buying it. This is not a vision, or not the vision of our forefathers. It's not the vision our forefathers had, not at all, when they fought for independence. This is not the democracy our children deserve. So where do we go from here, you ask? We must demand electoral reform, real, transparent, non-partisan reform. This means instituting a clear and enforceable residency requirement for voters, regulating campaign financing to prevent undue influence, establishing an independent boundaries commission free from political interference. Our boundaries commission comprises of politicians, and a politician appointed as chair by an ex-politician. Ensuring transparency in the transportation of voters with full disclosure of funding sources for all those plain loads, my straight dog family. And above all, strengthen the integrity of the electoral office so that it serves only one master, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. This is not just about changing laws. It's about changing culture. We must reject the notion this is just how things are. We must refuse to sell our democracy for a plane ticket, a contract, or a promise. To every citizen listening tonight, your vote is your voice. It is sacred. It must not be bought. It must not be stolen. And it must not be silenced. Let us rise together, not as divided supporters of red or blue or orange or green or yellow, but as united guardians of our democracy. Let us demand better, not for ourselves alone, but for the generations unborn, but still hold the power to determine who governs our lands. And my straight dog family, when the vote of a Kittitian on the Vision who struggles daily to make ends meet, as I said before, that is not democracy. Democracy is not bought. And on that point, let us remember the chilling admission made by our current Prime Minister. His own words on record. Elections in St. Kitts and Nevis are easily bought. These words should trouble every patriot, regardless of political affiliation. They should send a shiver down our collective spines, because if our elections can be bought, then so too can our future be bought. My Straight Dog family, so where do we go from here? This is not the vision I said of our forefathers. This is not the democracy our children deserve. We must demand electoral reform, real, transparent, non-partisan reform. We must demand that, my Straight Dog family. And as we move forward, as I said, your voice or your vote is your voice. Let us rise together, my Straight Dog family. Let us be united. Let us avoid being divided by our colors, red, orange, yellow, green, or blue. But let us rise together as united guardians of our democracy. Let us demand better, not for ourselves, but for our generations yet unborn. Or else, 1/3 on Nevis equals half on St. Kitts. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I am not going to change it. I'll open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails. And when I do so, and I'll do so momentarily, I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let's just strive to, let us try to ensure, rather, my Straight Dog family, that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of doing and or saying those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. It's 9:03, and we go to the lines and say good night to our first caller. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller?
Good night, Mr. Liburd.
Yes, good night, my dear.
The quote for this evening. We live on an island surrounded by sea of ignorance.
Surrounded by sea.
We live on an island surrounded by sea of ignorance. As our island of knowledge grows, so does the shore of ignorance.
As our island of knowledge grows.
As our island of knowledge grows, so does the shore of ignorance.
So does the shore of ignorance. Yes, so does the shore of ignorance. Got you? Interesting.
Okay, I repeat. We live on an island surrounded by a sea of ignorance. As our island of knowledge grows, so does the shore of ignorance. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening, my dear. Always welcome your quotations as we go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Patches. Thank you, Brother Patches. Good night to all.
Good night.
Good night to everyone, wherever you are. Brother Patches, first of all, I must like to say I will second your motion of the plea to voters, whether you are in the diaspora or you are home. The thing that needs to be clarified and we get an understanding is the diaspora need representation. And in doing so, okay, diaspora petitions and divisions, if they will go into their heart and not be bought by giving a plane ticket to vote for a particular party, whether it is PAM, Labour, or PLP, or an independent, I think if it's a duty from their heart, they should find their way to St. Kitts without a sponsorship or group, so to speak. That should go to condemnation, and that is not democracy. Okay? if their interest is St. Kitts and Nevis, keep it that way. And keep a sympathetic and an empathetic heart. Because it will be unfair to determine party line business, party line belief than the heart of the people. In St. Kitts, I will caution you, do not be bought and do not sell out. Go from your heart, because this is the most interesting election is yet to come. And if you don't want to be crying anymore, go to your heart and suffer the consequences from your heart than the love of money. This is what money costs us. And it is undemocratic when money are going to be the engine. It will not go far, it will shut down. So I am pleading to anyone, whether you're in the diaspora or you are in St. Kitts, go in with a heart and pure oneself, but empathetic for all the people that you will be representing.
Okay.
That is my number one plea. Personally, I am coming into this for the people and for the future. Do not allow this election to be bought.
Okay.
And allow your true meaning of your heart of voting, and do not resist or reject to vote.
Thank you very much.
And then, in closing, Patches, I am pleading for all independents to rise up and let us not put back in any of these recycled politicians. We don't need them. They've been there. They fail us. They're coming in. They're going to fail us again.
Okay.
Do not be caught into that web.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my brother.
I will yield and I will come back again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And again, it's not, let me be clear, the issue is not with our brothers overseas and our sisters. The issue is with the system that enables electoral manipulation in your names. Because when the voter for petition on the vision right here, and we are struggling here in St. Kitts daily, struggling to make ends meet under this incompetent July administration. Our votes are drowned out by the orchestrated efforts from abroad. We are no longer practicing democracy. We are buying it. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
How are you, sir?
I am peaceful. It sounds like the Bible man.
Yes, the Bible man.
How art thou?
I'm fine, Mr. Patches.
Give me a book, a chapter from the book of Psalms.
Oh, your book of Psalms.
Yes, I love the Psalms. So whenever you come, you have to give us something from the book of Psalms. Can you agree?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, so go right ahead. Go right ahead. Don't waste your time.
Psalms 107, Mr. Patches.
Wow.
Oh, give thanks unto the Lord for his good.
God, his mercies endureth forever, right?
For his mercy endureth forever.
Yes, I got you. Mm-hmm.
Hear the next one, Mr. Patches.
Mm-hmm.
Psalms 37.
Fret not
Fret
thyself.
not thyself because of evildoers.
Yes, be not.
Neither be envious against the workers of iniquity.
Yes, yes.
For the soul shall cut down.
Yes.
Like a grass and withered away.
Yes.
Now they come down. It's a delight yourself in the Lord, and he shall give you your desire of your heart. Mm-hmm. Now, Psalm 34. I will bless the Lord all times, and his praise shall continue in my mouth. Mm-hmm. Now, the last one I'm going to give you, Psalm 41. Blessed is the man that considereth the poor.
Yes.
in the time of trouble, the Lord shall deliver him. That is, the Lord listen to us. The Lord look in our heart. And the Lord in his time, he can deliver us. That is good night. See you. Have a pleasant night. Bye-bye.
Have a pleasant night as well. And thank you as usual for your, what I call your spiritual interventions. Caller, thank you for holding your live. It's 9:12.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello. Good evening, man.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening to you, Patches, and good evening to the listeners home and abroad.
Good evening, my brother.
You know what I'm coming in with tonight? I'm just asking the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, the citizens, to hear me out for a minute.
You got 2 minutes. Let's use it wisely.
Okay, let's get to it, man. Let's get straight to it. The Bryant Clause. That's what my agenda is on the table. Our Constitution allows the citizens in the diaspora to come home and vote. And just as well as that right is given to the citizens, I want those citizens to also get the right to put their names on the ballot. When they get that right to put their names on the ballots, it just means that the field of candidates will be widened. The electorates will have more choices. And to that, I'm going to add a footnote to this whole scenario. And the footnote is the Bryant Clause is going to come down to loyalty and allegiance. And just as well as those persons in the diaspora got that barrier around them because of those two stipulations, we have our own politicians on the ground that's pledging allegiance to the king and his heirs. So that pledging allegiance to a foreign denomination, a foreign country, a foreign entity, it's no different than a person in the diaspora pledging allegiance to a foreign country and gaining a foreign passport. So I'm just asking for the authority, maybe persons in the authority, to put the light back in the Bryant Clause and also the dual citizenship clause. We're asking, the people are asking for reforms, and the reforms, constitutional reforms and electoral reforms. And as we found out, we know, like you just stated about the boundaries hasn't been changed in 40 plus years. And all of those stuff comes with the electoral and the constitutional reform. The citizens are asking for these reforms, and our leaders are failing to do that. And that's what I want to put out tonight. And I'm going to leave it there for now, and I'll try to come back in. Thanks.
Thank you very much. The boundaries, in fact, were changed in 1989, I think was the last time they were changed. So that's 36 years, not too far off. Mrs. Martinez reads this email. I believe you have seen one of the last post-Premier Brantley, the snake, made some reference of you. You see, Martinez, Brantley is a pathological liar and has no memory. He's now blaming Harris for failing to do due diligence. Mr. Prime Minister reads this other email. I wonder why has it taken Marisha and Martinez so long to discover that you are a madman when 80% of the population have already found that out? I found out that you are a real demented person. I mean, the oblivious things you say, the insensitive lies you perpetuate, and your flagrant behavior overall is quite easily discernible. That you are demented. Where is the evidence that these mercenaries tried to extort money from you? Marisha text messages with you has really proven you to be a liar and has exonerated Marisha. Come clean with us, Prime Minister, man. The next thing I expect you to say is Harris make you do it. You need to resign now and save the Federation from further shame and embarrassment. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good evening.
Hello, caller.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Yes. I'm hardly hearing you. You have your equipment on. I can hear your equipment in the background.
Outside. I'm outside.
Outside? Is that the lady with the dimples and don't want me to hear her?
Yes, I'm wait outside. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you? How are you tonight?
I am much better. I am peaceful nonetheless. And yourself?
I'm giving God thanks.
You all do.
Yeah. I still have a question for you, please. I don't know if you could answer it. I would like to know if he ain't supposed to have a law house of assembly. What they doing?
Of what? You faded away just now. I didn't hear what you said. What this question was? If you don't have...
I said... How again that in the House of Assembly that you can go to, because if you want to put people in there who ain't know what they're doing and just doing as them like, it's a disgrace. And I don't think when they have House of Assembly, no preacher supposed to go up there or preach, because it don't make any sense that a preacher go up there, because the Lord life that up there outrunning what the preacher them is saying. So I don't think a preacher supposed to go up there to preach, and it need a law for the National Assembly with what goes on in there. Ain't ready yet, and taking people's stomach to the core of people who just gone in there because of politics and do not know what they're doing. And it need a law to fix that part there. Because no, it's not nice. And it ain't so good at all with what's going on in the National Assembly down there. Something needs to be done to that house there. And no preacher have no card in there, because whenever you go preach, as you come out, is lawyer. That is, you know, since they have, what you say, thing in the city, you notice just 4 days on that, you see how much things don't happen?
Jesus in the city.
When they say you must come out from march in the city.
Jesus in the city.
Yes.
Jesus in the city brought the rain. Brought the deficit. Brought the rain on Saturday.
Or just the rain.
The showers. And he brought some, did you say murders as well? Or a murder.
And that's what
Yep.
So why you go out there so somewhat when you go and go march for that, and when you look down, crime and everything is calmed down. You go march for better. But instead of better, you're getting worse. But it really makes no sense.
Yes,
you have a blessed night. If I get back,
yes. Have a blessed night as well. Thanks for your...
If I get back in, I get back in. Okay, see you.
Thanks a lot for your intervention. As this quotation goes, we live in a world, we live on an island of ignorance, an island surrounded by a sea of ignorance. The island of knowledge grows, so does the shore of ignorance. Mr. Marisha reads this email. I'm coming to you, dear caller. I'm an ardent minister to your Wednesday evening program. But last Wednesday, I observed that something usual did not occur, and I would like some clarification. My question is, DJ, why you did not play your boy Dwyer commentary last Wednesday, as you normally do? You played all others, Carmen, Cabo, Daniel, the St. Thomas DJ, except Dwyer. Please explain, Mr. DJ, as why you failed to play this usual commentary. You see, I'm very suspicious. Nevertheless, I will wait to see what happens on Wednesday. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Electoral?
Yes, good night, Patches. Good night, Patches. How are you?
I am peaceful, sir. Yourself?
Oh, trying to be peaceful just like you. And using my opportunity to have my political opinion, like everyone else does, without I try to criticize anyone, but this is part of life. I want to say good night to that lady who called me just now. She's always on my back, but there's no problem. She's not disrespectful to me. So I still appreciate our conversation. And I hope you appreciate mine. So have a good night. Patrice, you spoke a lot about the Constitution. And you also touched on the boundary changes. Don't you think it's time now the boundary should be changed?
Well, that depends on the Boundaries Commission. They determine that. They can have reason not to change it.
So I'm not hearing you, Patrice.
I said that depends on the Boundaries Commission. There's a Boundaries Commission that determines that.
Okay, so it would not be a gerrymandering on your behalf if the boundaries change, right?
Make your point. No, the questions come from the side of the mic, not from your side. Make your point.
I just want to say it would not be. I just let me continue to make my point.
No, if you feel that if you are at variance, just make your point. You don't have to interrogate me.
Yeah, that's what I was just asking you a question.
I have made my points. I've made my points.
Yeah.
So you make your point.
Okay, so I will go ahead. I will go ahead and make my conversation.
Please, yes.
So, in your opinion, it is wrong. It might be a gerrymandering at this moment to change the boundaries, because according to the structure of the Constitution, it is not properly legit in this setting time, and the Constitution does not hold any positive weight on the country in the electoral way at this time. But I don't see that. I don't see that as very prudent and with your opinion. I see it as a biased opinion, and I mean, the election is coming up, and a lot of us who does not back the government probably have some kind of inclination that the government would win back the election, which would happen because there's a set of people in St. Kitts attacking the government in a vicious way and an evilous way, even the Prime Minister, maligning his name, calling him all kind of stuff. I mean, it is so ridiculous. Why people could just try to malign somebody like that? A Prime Minister of a country, as the Bible says, respect those who is in authority. Don't speak evil of them. But we does not do that in St. Kitts. We speak some of things against the Prime Minister. He's not my friend, but he's my Prime Minister. Timothy was my Prime Minister, and I never degrade him. I always give him that respect. I never go on the air and call him names. But people in St. Kitts need to stop that foolishness, because it would not be good for them by the mercy of God. Let him grow. He's a young man. There's someone went around him and supposed to feel like he was not righteously coming to them in a righteous way, and they turned against him. He came to this time. You look at his conversation the other day. You said Mauritius is right, and I don't want it to be like Judas. Not a real Judas, but I don't want it to be like a Pilate and a Herod. Don't send him to Herod. Don't let him bring you now. He acting like he's Pilate, and he bring you now and give Herod to set him to the people to crucify him.
Okay.
Shout at that Patrick. Because he crucify you.
Okay, my brother. I think you have digressed from the conversation tonight, but
okay, I'm always doing that. I'm always doing Patrick.
I don't know why, but but
Patrick, I always does that for you. Thank you. Have a nice one.
Thanks a lot, my brother. All right, yeah. Okay, thanks a lot for your contribution. The issue of gerrymandering, it's all about manipulation, and if you accept manipulation of our system, then it's very unfortunate, my dear brother. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Liburd, good evening.
Good evening, my dear.
This is Kalikwan Auntie.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm holding on, but I'm still painful. You know, but I put God in everything. I put Him first, and He is the answer tonight.
Yes.
Today will have been make a month and 4 weeks. Soon be 2 months. But God is good, and He's great every day. He don't sleep. He don't wear pajama. He has them look at us through the night and through the day with that unseen eye. But what I call it to tell you, I listen to that house. The thing will pass to the inside the house here. Every minute they go in the house here. What happened to Candice? Don't want Timothy to speak and he must have the floor. What really happened to him? They're going to like children in there. And the speaker there, she's biased. I will want election call. And I want to see when election call, if those people put them in there, if they're going to put them back inside there again, if they're going to come and let them pull them again and bribe them and give them money to put them back inside there. And I want everybody doom one dead in this place. Everybody. They're going to sit down to horses. Not inside the store them having people, the supermarket, not inside the bank, not inside on the street like once ago. Because see nobody. Kind of money there. Things is tight. Tight. They're just pulling up the pocket with the people money and doing all kind of nonsense, bullhen and cock and hen. A shame of them. A shame of this government here. Everybody talk about them. Even their own talk about them. They ain't going back inside there. I will want election come. Let it check all where they could get right now. That's why he not tell Timothy he want to play election because he want to do. You see, and he don't know to run the country. They don't know where they're doing, all of them. They don't know where they're saying. They pick you and pick the palm with one another mouth. They don't know what they say. They can't run the country. The economy is low. And I pray and hope that this country here and go back to the oil, you know. And the world be gone fat tonight, may I tell you. People don't have got money to pay the bill. From paycheck to paycheck, that's all people living for and working for in this country here. And then they must pull up the crap. You know, what about these young men on the street don't have nothing to eat? Eating out of drunk pan and all them kind of thing they in tongue and all about the place. What happened to them people there? They want food to eat. What happened to the healthcare in this country? Eh? Nobody study it. They study who go up and play every minute and take people tax money and do a lot of shit.
Okay.
But God don't like ugly.
Thank you very much, my dear. I can certainly, I'm sure many agree with you. But thanks a lot for your...
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Liburd. You have a wonderful night and get home safe.
Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful night as well. Trust that.
Yes. Thank you.
You'll overcome those difficulties. I carried out a survey on the Jew Marischal debacle. I asked the person interviewed who you believe is telling the truth with the story of Jew's utterance and that Marischal tried to extort him of $40 to $100 million. While Marischal categorically denied the claim, touting that the Prime Minister is a liar, 95% of the people said that Marshall's account of the story was more credible and believable. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, thank you for holding your live.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Liburd.
Good night, my brother.
Your friend from the Virgin Islands was just speaking, right? And saying that we must give the Prime Minister a chance and stop calling names. Mm-hmm. How many bad things you speak about Dr. Timothy Harris? You need to listen when he's telling about Dr. Timothy Harris is this, and he went in the Ames for 7 years, and what he did, he declared that what people have to talk on about him. If he's going to tell people he's going to give them 1,005 and end up with 250, who is the fault of it? Is Dr. Timothy the fault of it? He personal is the fault of it. That's why the people in St. is suffering and have to be mechanized about the 250 when they could have been getting the 500. And the 500 is what people were looking out for. But if you're going to tell me you're going to give me $2,000, I'm looking out for the $2,000. But you went in and you said you ain't make the money. And in less than a week, you said the country in red. And after the country in red, you still fly gone. But who lying? Is the people them lying? He. You just gone in the other prime minister. People expect you to do better, not to do worse. So all the fault is his. Look, every minute he's flying out. They have parliament and he's not in parliament. They're not Samuel who is taking over to run the country. They're gone, so people must say, well, oh, but we're really going on. We're really going on in this situation. Every minute they're flying out again, coming on the way to say, well, we're going to ask the Governor General to appoint XYZ to be the. What happened to Mr. Hanley? Mr. Hanley is the Deputy Prime Minister. He went with them too. Every minute they're flying out with a lot of entourage and got the people in the tank is suffering. And we cannot take it no longer. We need Dr. Timothy Harris to run this table. And we need you, Mr. Liburd, because you did a wonderful job in the 7 years that you were there. You did a wonderful job, and right now, the railroad is sinking in, and the sidewalk is sinking in, and we need somebody like you to come to repair it. And I hope Mr. Hanley paid the lady in Miami for all the chairs and this, what she sent down here. And up to now, the lady ain't getting the money to pay his staff in Miami. So when he's boasting about he bring up chairs and this from Miami, tell the people the truth. Talk the truth. Have a pleasant night.
Have a pleasant night as well. My Straight Talk family. This message reads, I'll get to the call if you just bear with me 1 second. You are a Congress, you are a bold-faced liar, telling lies on the former Speaker, Perkins of Nevis. Perkins conducted the House with pride and dignity. You have the gall, Congress, to say that Harris was disrespectful to the House and Speaker. The Speaker was the one who disrespected herself by not permitting Harris to speak on the bill. Her continuous disrespectful and outrageous attitude towards Harris is unbecoming. When Perkins was elected as Speaker, you, Mr. Rude Congress, told him point blank to his face that you do not like him, and he must not expect or count on any support from this side of the House, meaning your opposition Labour members in opposition at the time. Speaker Perkins stood your rudeness, your arrogance, and your little boy childish behavior. Now you are telling your discreditable female Speaker that Perkins used to refuse the Labour opposition members the opportunity to speak. You lie with that, and what hurts me extremely most is to see those three, my Straight family. And for that lady who asks about the rules of the House, or the laws of the House is governed by what we call standing orders, and they are interpreted, fortunately and unfortunately and or otherwise, by the Speaker and only the Speaker. The Speaker, so to speak, runs things. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding caller your live. Hello, caller.
Yes, Patches. Yes, Patches. Good
Yes,
night
sir.
again, Patches.
Good night, sir.
I'm not afraid to say my name. My name is Winston Welcome. And I need everyone to know I am a plain damn speaker. And I have no friend, should it be. But I'm going to say this. To all those leaders and who were leaders trying to reaffirm their seat or their candidacy moving forward, if they have clouds over their heads, which there are some names, and if they know that to themselves that they should resign from that position they are holding, resign, and continue to rally the citizens, the voters, to follow you. Because by the leadership of any country, the people shall and will perish. Because maybe in St. Kitts, yes, Tom got followers, Jack got followers, Susan have followers. But I'm going to tell everyone, and I don't care what anyone thinks, America has the cards. And if America says your leadership with factual evidence that they are not worthy and they're not going to do business with us, what would you do? Because St. Kitts is not dependent on themselves. They're dependent on the outer world. Unless they decide to be self-resilient in the agriculture sector, the solar, and anything that will benefit us, our country, our federation, by the leadership of your country, y'all will perish all because of your leaders. Your leaders, stop rally the citizens under a false trail of false hope. And I hope that they will resign and let other candidates, make room for other candidates, make room and cancel yourself, or else people will perish. They are perishing now, and they are potential to be perished. America has the trump cards. I can tell you that. Bye for now.
Thank you very much. And I know that we have digressed somewhat, and even to these emails, I know sometimes I tolerate it, because even from some of my observations that I present, I do anticipate you will as well respond. A pleasant evening, Patches. I recall it was Tuesday the 25th of October 2022 at the opening session of the new Parliament. Miss Lanine Blanchett, the new speaker, in her remarks to the gathering, paused to give special mention to disgraced Speaker Curtis Wimpy Martin. And in glowing terms, she described Wimpy as her mentor, as she thanked him for his learned guidance to her as to how she should manage the affairs of the new Parliament. She ended by assuring the members of Parliament that as Speaker, she intended to be firm, fair, impartial, honest, and respectful, because she will hold close to her chest the adage that to whom much is given, much will be expected. Well, Patches, obviously the Speaker has, in quick time, even before the echo of her voice left the halls of Parliament, that she reneged on her solemn pledge, because from day one she sets out on a clear, calculated campaign to provoke, insult, and silence Dr. Harris, as directed by July, her employer. Today, in Parliament, was just a continuation of her acting out a script as written and directed by Wimpy Martin and the Soca engineer. What a puppet. What a disgrace we have as a speaker. Big up yourself, Dr. Harris. We love you as you continue to show tolerance and statesmanship in the face of persistent attack, thus preventing you from representing your constituents. Just hold the fort, as their day of reckoning is coming very soon. Reads this email, and I didn't have the real tolerance, I believe, available to listen to the House today. I sometimes just can't take the nonsense from them, to be frank. Congress made himself a real glad, boasting, happy puppy in the House this morning. He is so stupid talking as though he and his comrades will always be members of Parliament. So he is advising the crooked Speaker to make a law, control Harris to keep him tied down in Parliament, so he cannot walk out as he chooses. What nonsense. The same law you want for Harris, with the same to figuratively hang your backside with this other email. I want to congratulate Mrs. Carleen Henry Morton for her new position in the PAM Party Executive. Mrs. Morton is a very good choice. She's a strong leader, fearless, aggressive, strident, and vociferous. And these are the people we need on the political platform to challenge the Labour incumbent government and get them out of office. PAM and PLP can surely work together to achieve this goal, reads this email. There's a lot of talk about Nevis geothermal and how it will bring St. Kitts and Nevis together, making us one people in reality. The enthusiasm is so high that Minister Clark, speaking on the subject in Parliament, went as far as to say that we should now consider expunging the secession clause 113 from the Constitution, and let us really become one federation. Well, I want to say to Minister Clark, I am a division residing here on Nevis, and I am not optimistic that geothermal is on the horizon. Millions of dollars have already been spent and wasted in the past on this project. Secondly, when Premier Parry, and the NRP were in government and were working assiduously to get the project up and running, Mark Bradley was in opposition, and he put up a strong resistance against geothermal, instilling fear in the peoples, similarly to the one in Montserrat, and that will be the end of Nevis. Also, Minister Clark, don't fool yourself about relinquishing the secession clause, beg your pardon. Brantley was, and still is, one of the biggest secessionists on Nevis. Geothermal will never come to fruition under Mark's tenure, reads this email. Good night, Patches. I'm going off script here because people flying into St. Kitts has to know the truth, and it's not a good look for a so-called international airport. The thieving at the airport and seaport is on another level and needs to be seriously investigated. A passenger last weekend, passenger's item went missing, and just today another passenger that traveled to St. Kitts and came back down today says she was missing her undies and some night dresses. The airline here on this island says they've been having a lot of complaints from passengers traveling to St. Kitts, missing their personal items. They have labeled St. Kitts worse than Antigua. The government there needs to take these issues seriously because their reputation is already not good, and it's not a good look. Flyers beware, reads this email. Good night, Patches. The caller from the USVI, what stupid question you're asking, Patches? Why don't you ask the PM? Reads this other email. Good night, Patches. This message is for Mr. Maynard. We voted for Mr. Harris. That's all I have to say. We voted for Mr. Harris. Hi, Patches. Good night. Kindly inform Prime Minister Joe that when he's speaking of the Federation becoming a republic, what currency are we going to use? Kindly inform this empty drum to come with something else, reads this other email. It's 16 before the 10 o'clock hour. And for those of you who have joined me for the first time, Straight Talk is heard every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 in the PM. We usually have our discussion, we have a thesis, and have a discussion. Tonight, our thesis we titled 1/3 on Nevis equals half in St. Kitts. Yes. And we were actually referring to the electoral system in St. Kitts. And we are taking that for granted. And we have a bunch of men and women in a cabinet that we ought to be always wary with, cautious with. Caller, you're live.
Mr. Patches, greetings. How are you?
I am peaceful, my brother. Greetings. Yourself?
I'm very good. Listening to your interesting topic as usual.
Thank you.
I would say, Mr. Patches, the Federation had two good speakers at the House Assembly in the past. I would say the late Ivan Buchanan and Mr. Perkins. They were reasonable in their stance in the House. Another thing too, Mr. Patches. We talk about republic, right? If we are now a democratic country, right, and be complaining over things being free and fair, What happens if we become a republic? we ain't got nothing fear. Around the world, there be in other republic countries, and we see what happened to them. The only way forward for us as a people is unity, because we are living in spiritual times. We got to spread righteousness amongst us. We talk about the corruption of the electoral system. We shouldn't be commenting to say we have a corrupt electoral system that we cannot manage in a rightful way. That everything depends on what man do. And if we cannot do things to be fair amongst ourselves, we just doing what the devil wants us to do. Because either the Lord's way or the devil's way. And if we want to say, well, we want to do things in the Lord's way, we got to walk in the footsteps of Christ. And my brethren from America, I mean, sometimes he says some good things, but I don't see why he keep pressing about Brian Clause. Any reform in the Constitution have to strengthen that clause, what they're talking about is Brian Clause, not weaken it. Extracting it from the Constitution will be weakening the Constitution, because we're removing our sovereignty from the Constitution. When we hear what's going on with our passport around the world, how could we still talking about removing that clause out of the Constitution? Where's our liberation? Where's our leadership? Mr. Patches, you continue to be good and stay strong. God bless.
Thank you. You do the same. Always sit up when I hear this voice, and I just await your sterling contributions. And this email as well refers to that Brian Clause. The caller who keeps calling about the Brian Clause reads this email does not understand what that clause is all about. In essence, the clause states that if you are not born in St. Kitts, or your parents or grandparents were not born, I think it says parent or not parents, were not born in St. Kitts, you cannot be a member of the National Assembly. It has nothing to do about Kittitians living abroad. Caller, get your facts right. Read this email. Yes, we addressed that several times before, but as we wind down tonight's programming, I'll take a few more calls for tonight. And we actually, as I said, address the electoral issues. And I hear you say that elections are 2 years away. But believe me, the gerrymandering is very much alive. And the Constitution speaks about the Boundaries Commission. Someone called and asked about it. I did, in fact, that's one of my, one of my earlier slides or PowerPoints I put up on the screen tonight about the Boundaries Commission. And the Boundaries Commission are the ones who, as it states there on your screens, that there shall be a constituency Boundaries Commission, let me be specific, in this section referred to and how it's consisted. There's another section to that I did not post as well. I tried to get it up before I close tonight. I just realized there's another section I did not post, but I'll get that before we wind up tonight. But calling you live. Hello, caller.
Patches.
Yes, my dear.
Patches, a pleasant good evening to you, sir. Marsha here.
Good evening, Marsha. How about that?
I'm wonderful. Patches, I have two things to talk about tonight. The first thing I must say, Patches, in life, one might have a boyfriend and your boyfriend bang you, the boyfriend do you all kind of thing, you not keep from them. I just want to know why people harassing themselves over Timothy Harris for the carry man not going away. People just love him. They love him because he have a golden heart and he loves people. That's why the people love Timothy Harris. I don't know why they're harassing themselves over the man for. I hear listening, lying down on my bed and listening to the callers. I really don't know why they're harassing themselves and they're stressing themselves over Dr. Timothy Sylvester Harris because he's not going nowhere. And to take our thing, we're sticking with him. And the next thing again, Patches, I want to make it abundantly clear tonight. Only two parties in the race right now. That is PLP and Labour. No other parties in the race. And I want to put this on record tonight. Who talking about independent party? We know in saying it's people don't want an independent party. We ain't gonna tell me those kind of things. We're focusing right now on PLP and Labour. So I don't know why people don't rest themselves. Some people need to give it up. Give it up. And look at the bigger picture. Give it up and look at the bigger picture. Music festival around the corner, things need to be done. The road needs to be cleaning up, the little pothole need to be looked after. These are the things where people are supposed to talk about. And leave Dr. Timothy Harris' name out of them out because he ain't going nowhere. Because the whole of St. Kitts like him. We love Dr. Harris. And I myself love Dr. Timothy Harris to the moon and back. And I'm not going to stop. So, Patrice, that's all I have to say. This is my birth month. Last week was my birthday. I don't want to push much energy. So I just want to stay on the low side for this month. So, Patrice, you get home safe. And may God bless and keep you. And may He continue shine His face upon you and give you peace and protection. And get home safe tonight, Patrice. Have a pleasant good night. And bye for now.
Have a pleasant night as well, and I do wish you the same, dear Marsha. Always so assertive, always to the point, and we really love you for that. That's what we call straight talk. And yes, the Constitution speaks to the Commission. And we understand that the Labour Party wants to put tabernacle with Sadlers in number 6 and Newton Ground with Sandy Point. That won't work. Drew also wants to gerrymander number 8 as he's mortally afraid of Keon. But the Labour Party's plan, as I intimated earlier, is all about manipulation of the electoral constituency boundaries so as to favor their party. We heard of the plan as well, another proposal to increase the number of constituencies in St. Kitts from 8 to 10 and from 3 to 5. And we also posted on our monitors our PowerPoint with the rules of delimitation, which I read. But I also said that there's so much so, my Streeter family, that when next election comes around, if that's so, then 1/3 of the seats allocated to Nevis will be equal to half. That's if it's changed, the constituencies from 8 to 10 in St. Kitts and 3 to 5 in Nevis. But as we wind now, let me take this and perhaps make this my final call for the night. Caller, you're live. Hello.
Yes. Greetings, Brother Patches. Pleasant good night to you.
Pleasant good evening, sir. Pleasant night.
And the listening audience. I'd like to make an observation in that, we're talking only about mismanagement, corruption, money laundering, especially when it comes to the CBI, all these things that are happening in a bad light. Now, the dichotomy is that if you make a comparative analysis, right, is that, we don't hear thieving, and up in Burkina Faso and the Sahel states, the brothers are doing the right things by their citizens, especially in Burkina Faso, where Brother Abe Ibrahim Traore, you know, when it comes to agriculture, he bought 400 tractors to get involved in agriculture and doing agricultural work. And now they're producing surplus food where they could feed, export to other neighboring countries in Africa. Now, what I'm saying, I'm making that point to show you basically, we're doing bad, they're doing good, but the imperialist forces are saying that they're doing bad and they should be removed. Mr. Langley went in front of the United States Senate and said that Brother Ibrahim Traore is using the profits from gold in Burkina Faso for his own personal use. And we know that is a lie. So what I'm trying to show you, whether you do good or you do bad, the way how the imperialists them look at us, is that don't care what we do, we should always be their footstool and we should never make any progress. So the point I'm making to our people is that when you look again at what is happening with Mr. Trump, he just brought some Africanos, so-called Africanos, or white people from South Africa, and saying that they're being genocide. That's another lie again. The point I'm making is that white supremacy is showing solidarity with their own people. We got to show solidarity with our own people. That's why I said that we have to repent here and atone for our sins, because we are doing wrong. But then, them who are doing good, it's still a problem for imperialism and fascism. We got to look at these things in a real sense, my brother. Because there's no way you could say that Brother Abraham Traore is using the profits from gold for his personal benefit. And Mr. Langley went in front of the US Congress and said that. So I'm saying to show our people, we got to unite. The only solution to this thing, we got to resolve our contradictions, our differences, and speak with one voice. Because white supremacy is speaking with one voice. We got to speak with one voice as African people. So my brother, I just point out that to you and the listening audience to show them basically, you know, that Mr. Trump is saying that Brother Julius Malema, the leader of the EFF in South Africa, should be arrested. He told that to President Ramaphosa. Okay. Brothers, we have to wake up. Okay, my brother. Okay. So I just want to say what Granny said. We have to unite. African unity is the solution to this pollution. And those who that don't want to unite with us, then they're against us. So with Mr. Langley, Mr. Trump, and NATO and the European Union. So we gotta make a choice. Which side we on? You're on either our side or the side of our down pressers. So give thanks, one love.
Give thanks as well by your brother, always bringing us the updates on the things happening over there on the African continent. And someone raised the issue about the constituency boundaries, and I did say that the Constituency Boundaries Commission, and I have posted this for you on your screens, and Section 50 of the Constitution, which states quite clearly that the Constituency Boundaries Commission, hereinafter referred to as the Commission, shall, in accordance with the provision of this section, review the number and boundaries of the constituencies into which St. Christopher and Nevis is divided, and submit to the Governor General reports. Either, I think it goes on to either they find that other one to change them or maintain the boundaries as they are. Let me not misguide you and try and find that. My straight dog family, I'm just talking off the top here, but it does say, showing the constituency into which it recommends that St. Christopher and Nevis should be divided in order to give effect. I'll put it on your monitors for you so I don't again misguide you. It says, my straight dog family, let me post it here for you, that it's showing the constituencies in which it recommends. Yes, I'll post it here for you. I'm sure you've seen it now. That showing the constituencies into which, that's section 50A, which it recommends that St. Christopher and Nevis should be divided in order to give effect to the rules as set out in Schedule 2. That's the delimitation. Schedule 2 of the Constitution speaks to the limitation of boundaries. And it goes on as well in B, stating that in its opinion, no alteration is required to the existing number of boundaries of constituencies in order to give effect to the rules. So the Constituency Boundaries Commission may very well say keep the boundaries as they are. But in this case, I think it will be hardly likely. Caller, thank you for holding your line. Hello, caller.
Patches, good night.
Good night, dear.
I must say again to who all want to go run for this, talking about this independence.
You have your equipment is. Your equipment
yes, hold on, we lock it off. Hold on.
Yes, we're winding down tonight's programming.
Captain?
Yes, you're there. You're live.
Yes, I must say again to who the person who talking about running for the independence, right? I cannot understand people just saying or just saying something. That is me. You could be in the world. You could be 58 years, 60 years, 70 years. What are you doing in like when you was 25, 23? Patches all like you could go back and run because you've been there, you've done that, you was there already. But I can't understand why people who know not about no politics, you all and still want to come talk about independence. People need to go sit down and make yourself and done with that. And a matter of fact to Mr. Patrice, I could recall, sometime a couple of years ago, Mr. Dupont was running down here in Sandy Point. He gave out all kind of things. Fridge, a stove, this, that, stuff. And he get a sheep egg. My daughter figure 20 votes, 30 votes. I must go to my friend and ask him what vote to get. So people got to know what they're putting themselves in. Patches, my thing is that I think you can pick back the boxing gloves and go back in the ring. Because you have a lot of attributes and you've been there, you've done that, and you did well for the country. Because when I could vote I will vote for you again. Because the stoplights, all road bay, all the pier, all those attributes you have in a patches. So you don't put your name there, you have people that say you've been there and done that. So if I see your name come up to go run it again, I can smile and say, okay, yes, because you did it already, you could do it again. But I don't know all time something come back again. You people want to be up and down the place and not title behind the name. Doctor this and doctor that. We want lawyers, we want doctors, we want teachers, we want prominent people to run in the election. We don't want no wishy-washy. So people need to stop to up what that is that they call in. And people need to stop to up things when what not suit them and end up for them. Patches.
Okay.
What I am saying, this is a new thing. Right now, as I said earlier, only two parties in the race right now. It's PLP and Labour. Because the West Party them got laughed, not kept.
Okay, Matt.
And the writing is there on the wall. Okay. Patrice.
Okay.
And you have a good night. Thank you, Patrice, for listening.
Have a good night as well. Thank you for your passionate contribution as usual. And that's the way we're going to end it, my Straight Talk family, because my time is done and I've got to run, And I outlined a scenario. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, my brother, if you can use that. I won't give you not a second more. Are you there?
Hey, Patches, I just want to say, man, I'm seconding the motion for you to get back in the ring.
Okay.
What I won't believe from you is that if you're going to hang up the hat defeated, it's a chance for you to get back in the ring and regain that seat back, and then you can go out on top. And different than that, Trump met with the South African president, and it said that he used some wrong pictures from another country to try to intimidate the South African leader.
Okay.
And lastly, big up to the people of Ivory Coast. There's been another military overthrow there.
Yes.
African continent is on the move. They are undoubtedly following Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger's lead.
Yes, my
So
brother.
big up to the people of Ivory Coast again, and you guys have a good night.
Have a good night, and thank you for bringing us up to date with that Ivory Coast overthrow there. And tonight, my Straight Talk family, I appeared before you not as a politician, and I'm humbled by those who are making the suggestions that I get back in the ring, to use their words. I'm humbled. But as a concerned Kittitian division, one who believes that the cornerstone of our democracy is the trust its people place in the electoral process. But that trust, our collective faith in fair and free elections, I'm sure we'll all agree, is under threat. Far too long, elections in our beloved federation have been mired in controversy. Every election cycle brings with it accusations of gerrymandering, corruption, and voter fraud. And these are not just whispers in the dark. These are loud, persistent cries from citizens, observers, and even our very own leaders. My Straight Dog family, we have seen constituency boundaries withdrawn before. Not to serve the will of the people, but to manipulate electoral outcomes. We've heard a former leader who said he had plane loads, some for East Bastia, some for number 4. So we have witnessed government resources deployed for political gain, blurring the lines between public service and party machinery. And most alarmingly, as I just mentioned, we have normalized the practice where plane loads of overseas voters are flown in at no cost to them to sway the destiny of our nation. These are individuals who may not have lived here for decades. May not feel the day-to-day pulse on our streets, but they hold the power to determine who governs our land. And I want to make it abundantly clear. The issue is not with our brothers and sisters overseas. The issue is with the system that enables electoral manipulation in their names. When the vote of a Kittitian or Nevision who struggles daily to make ends meet in this country, when their votes are drowned out by orchestrated efforts from abroad, we are no longer practicing democracy. We are buying it. And this is not the vision of our forefathers. This is not the vision our forefathers had when they fought for independence. This is not democracy our children deserve. So where do we go from here? We must demand electoral reform, real, transparent, non-partisan reform, which means instituting a clear and enforceable residency requirement for voters, regulating campaign financing to prevent undue influence, establishing an independent boundaries commission free from political interference, ensuring transparency in the transportation of voters with full disclosure on funding sources, and above all, strengthening the integrity of the electoral office so that it serves only one master, and one master only, that is the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. This is not just about changing laws, it's about changing culture, We must reject that notion that this is just how things are. We must refuse to sell our democracy for a plane ticket or a contract or a promise. To every citizen that listens tonight, your vote is your voice. It is sacred. It must not be bought. It must not be stolen. And it must not be silent. So let us rise together, not as divided supporters of red, blue, orange, green, blue, or yellow. Let us demand better, not for ourselves alone, but for generations unborn. And my Straight Dog family, as I wind down, may I suggest, it's not about changing laws, like I said. It's about changing culture. Let us rise together, not as divided supporters, but as united guardians of our democracy. Let us demand better, not for ourselves, as I said, but for generations yet unborn, or else 1/3 on Nevis would equal half on St. Kitts. That's my story tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I am not going to change it. I must thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. And as always, I must thank you, the callers, you, the many listeners, the thousands of you. I thank you for the tolerance. I want to thank the emailers. I want to thank all of you, like I said, who listen. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk. And for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. And until we connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Be good to yourselves. Sunday, God's spare, I go to church. What do? Some may go to the beach. Whatever you do it in moderation. And remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you gotta believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday.
When I wake in the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of